Hi, Pre-Algebra High School Prep Track, Period 4. This is Miss Dewey Hoffman. Today's lesson comes from Chapter 1, Lesson 1 of our Pre-Algebra textbook, which is where you will be pulling some problems from for tomorrow to work on in class. Today I'd like to start off with a quick quote from Horseradish, Bitter Truths You Can't Avoid by Lemony Snicket, and it's on page 35 of his book. A long time ago, there was no such thing as school, and children spent their day learning a trade, a phrase which here means standing around doing tedious tasks under the instruction of a bossy adult. In time, however, people realized that children could be allowed to sit, and the first school was invented. Okay, so for the first lesson, it's basically a lot of review. As most of you guys know, variables are usually letters, sometimes symbols, that represent an unknown. So, we use letters like A, and A could represent 2. Or in a completely different problem, A could represent 3. M could be 7, and they can be fractions and decimals as well. All right, a numerical expression is something that does not have an equal sign and just has numbers and operations. So 2 plus 3 would be a numerical expression. So again, 2 plus 3 is a numerical expression. We have 8 plus 6, also a numerical expression. And just notice that there is no equal sign, no equal sign. So those are expressions. An algebraic expression is similar to a numeric expression, but an algebraic expression has variables. Numeric expression is just numbers. All right, but an algebraic expression has a letter in it somewhere. So an example of an algebraic expression would be z plus 2. And remember, since it's an expression, no equal sign. No equal sign. There you go. Sorry about that, guys. Miss Michelle just walked in, and I had to talk to her for a second. So that's why the recording cut out for a second. All right, next up is the word than. So if you hear the statement 2 more than x. Well, more means addition, and the word than means to switch the location of what's going on. So the word than means these two things are going to get switched. So instead of 2 plus x, the word than means it's really x plus 2. All right, so see how the word than flips the order. Instead of the 2 coming first, the x comes first. All right, next up is the word quantity. Quantity means that there are grouping symbols. So if I say the phrase 5 times the quantity 4 plus c, it means 5 times, and remember in algebra, we're now going to start using the dot to mean multiplication. The quantity means parenthesis, 4 plus c. All right, so again, this is read 5 times the quantity. So let's see here, let me highlight it for you real quick. 5 times the quantity 4 plus c, or 4 plus the number c. So even though c is obviously not a number, c represents a number, and that's what we talked about when we talked about variables. All right, so let's move on to the next one. All right, so words that mean addition. There is a big old long list for this, so I will go ahead and do addition in purple. Things that mean addition are the words like total, sum, more than, and increased by. Those are all words that mean addition. All right, I'm going to do blue for subtraction. So for subtraction, words that mean subtraction are difference, fewer than, and there's that word than now. Than means to switch the order. And I'll put commas between those. There you go. Less than. And there's that word than again. And decreased by. All right, how about I do multiplication in red? So multiplication, words that mean multiplication are product and times. All right, and then remember we use the dot for multiplication now because we can't use the x because the x is now a letter and a variable. So we're going to use the dot, but we can also say anything right next to something else in parentheses. That also means multiplication. All right, so for division, I'll go ahead and do division in, let's do division in a dark green. There we go, division. So division, two words that mean division are quotient and divided by. All right, and again we're going to use the good old division sign that you've probably been seeing since 3rd grade, but we can also use a fraction bar. So I can say that I've got 9 divided by 3 when I use a fraction bar. All right, so again I can read this 9 divided by 3, and 9 divided by 3 is obviously 3. Okay? So those are different words that mean those operations. All right, so let's move on to some quick word problems. Here's the first one. The maximum speed allowed in a solar car race is 65 miles per hour. Write an algebraic expression for the distance a solar car can travel in a given time at an average speed of 65 miles per hour. Well, in this case, some things that we care about are distance and time. Well, the thing is if I am going 65 miles per hour, the number of hours that I'm traveling is going to affect my distance. So if I multiply the speed, so this is the speed, by the amount of time, I'm going to get the distance that I traveled. So a variable that we can use for time would probably be t, and the variable we can use for distance is d. But remember, I'm asking for an expression. An expression usually doesn't have an equal sign in it. So really, I'm going to take the speed and the time, and that's going to be my expression. So since the 65 is a constant, I'm going to do 65 times t. And that's really what I'm looking for there. All right? All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. If bagels cost 50 cents each, we're going to write an expression for the cost of B bagels. So what it means here by B bagels is we don't know how many bagels we have. So instead we're going to use a letter to represent this unknown. But we do know that each bagel costs 50 cents. So if I have my unknown, which is the number of bagels I'm going to buy, which is B for bagels, I'm going to multiply that by the cost of each bagel, and that's going to tell me how much all of the bagels cost, no matter how many bagels I buy. Because if I replace B with the number, and that's the number sign, guys, the number of bagels I buy, if I multiply that number by 50 cents, it's going to give me the total cost. So as far as the question's concerned, the question only asked for an algebraic expression, which means this is basically what we're looking for. But there's another way that we can write this. Another way we can write this is say that it's 50 cents times B. Because remember, when you have a number right next to a variable and there's nothing in between them, it implies multiplication. So just remember that, okay? It's very important. All right, one more problem. I'm just going to draw a little arrow up here so that you can know which problem it's for. All right, last problem, I promise. Write an expression for the number of hours in minutes. And this is actually supposed to be, this is typed out wrong. So this is the write an algebraic expression for the number of hours. Expression for I think this is supposed to be the word the number of hours in 60 minutes, or in m minutes. So if there is 60 minutes in an hour, and I want to know how many hours there are, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number of minutes I have. In this case, it's m. I really don't know how many minutes I have, and I'm going to stick it over m. And that's really what they're looking for here. They just want you to know that there's 60 minutes in an hour, and that if you divide the number of minutes you have by 60, it's going to give you the number of hours. All right, guys, so that includes your first video. Make sure you watch it a couple times and make sure you take notes. I'll see you guys tomorrow in class. Bye.